Hello again, viewers. And now that we've finished our last-minute training, we're going to take down the last of the Death Force before bringing the fight to the Galactic Emperor itself. Although this first fight is a bit of a mistake. It wasn't the battle I thought it was, so I'm just going to cut to the good bit. Specifically, why Patra, which is one of my favorite Borgs. With a quick tap of Power Burst, Gatling Gunner quickly becomes Cyber Death Gatling Gunner. Patra, which is already pretty awesome, just with the ability to make your allies more powerful, and the fact that they get bigger just makes it easier to stack. Unfortunately, Patra, which can't fight too much on its own, and these magnet robots pulling me around, it's not going to be around much longer. But that's enough fun for now. You'll just have to wait to see why Talmaster makes the agency's choice.
We showed them! Yes, we won!
We'll collect our prizes and move on. This time to an intended fight. This is another battle against the Combined Machine Borgs. And it's definitely a tough fight, as the force before them is a bunch of robots. So I'm going to call in one of the heavy hitters to back me up. Now I'm opening here with Bug Witch. And while I did say she's not as effective as Omicron, turning enemies into roaches actually leaves them far more vulnerable than changing them to Death Eyes does. Though I must say, before I started this run, I didn't much care for Wizard Borgs. I just didn't like relying on the AI that much. But playing through the tribe with episode 10 has really changed my opinion on them. At least some of them. For example, Patra and Sekhmet Wish are just straight better than their counterparts, and there's really no reason to use the previous Borgs once you've got them. Still, Bug Witch is kind of hard to use effectively, as the transforming shot it moves so slowly, and it has poor tracking. You really more have to hope the enemy kind of stumbles into it. You see? That was really the perfect positioning, and yet, it didn't hit. I would have been really embarrassed had I changed show there. Fortunately, I didn't, and we managed to take down the robot.
Let's get serious!
But next up comes Shuriken Ninja. Now, looking at that pack of 30 Shurikens, you might think that Shuriken Ninja is made for long-range combat. That's not true. Shuriken Ninja is an absolute monster in close range. Though, unfortunately, in battles against, say, these robots, he's not going to fare too well. Victory Duke is just too good at keeping me out. Now, you can see, you pummel it if you get the opportunity. But unfortunately, their double team attack takes down Shuriken Ninja. But next up is Sekhmet Witch. The opposite of Patra Witch, she shrinks her enemies with a very small spell.
Not yet! What?
Again, very small spell, has good tracking. Which is great because making the enemy smaller makes them harder to hit, though in consolation they take more damage. Though you can see it doesn't affect their offensive capabilities, so you really have to be careful.
Is that all you can do?
And luckily, Victory Duke is down, and all that's left is this Eagle Robot. My Panther vehicle comes out to finish the job.
Whoa.
A Panther vehicle is not the only Borg that can wheel around while taking its shots in any direction. Most tank Borgs can do the same. But Panther vehicle moves much faster than them, usually. And it has an extended forward dash. Unfortunately, the bullets are kind of poor, and the laser requires more leading than you might expect. But it does good damage.
シー噛みつき合体ギャブレンチュ白子
And there it is, Cyber Machine Byakko. And unfortunately, those remote guns are going to keep me locked in place for a destruction attack to take me down. But next up comes Death ICBM. In all honesty, Death ICBM is kind of a waste of points. But I've wanted one ever since I first fought them in that battle, and now I have one. So, whatever. And to take its place comes Titan Tank, and I am so glad he aimed at Sho there because I could not have gotten out of the way in time. Now if you're wondering why I chose Tank instead of Robot or Proto-Titan, it's because of this right here. The tank gets 3 shots of Javelin at once rather than Proto-Titan's 2, and you don't have to charge it. And with Machine Red out of the way, and it's really just taking out Cyber Atlas at our leisure.
We showed them! Is that all you got?
Again, we get some more prizes. And we move on to another mistake fight. And this again isn't what I thought it was, so I'll just cut to the good bit.
Fine.
And this time we're taking a bit of a closer look at Proto Eagle. Now again, Proto Eagle is the rare prototype that's actually better than its later counterpart, and solely because of the Eagle Buster. While Proto and Robot both have the Beam Tonfa, its excellent melee attack, only Proto Eagle gets the Eagle Buster, allowing it to blast through pretty much anything, even that guard witch's shield, which at first I didn't notice it was on me. But once I did, I had to take it as my first target because that would really mess up Tsutomu. Fortunately, it goes down pretty quickly. And now it's just a Cyber Ninja and Drill Robot to take down. All told, not a bad fight.
We showed them! Well, it's obvious.
A few more prizes and move on along. This is another fight I actually meant to do. And if they're going to call themselves the elite unit, how can I face them with anything less?
Let's do this!
I think I've extolled Sigma 2's virtues enough that you all know how great it is. Though unfortunately Cyber Ninjas are really fast and particularly adept at dodging shots. So this is not quite as a great showing as I'd hoped it would be. And you saw it getting clipped by a single star. It took out more than half my life. It may not look like it, but I'm trying really hard to keep the ninja on one side of me, because if one manages to sneak around and hit me with a plasma tackle, I'm definitely out. While I managed to build up Power Burst, I'm trying to save it for the next board. though a bad dive attack. I managed to lose that. And next up is Metal G-Red.
Show you.
And with a pair of Wing Dragons, while I've got Power Burst, this is really no challenge at all. And of course, that doesn't mean I can get sloppy. Wing Dragons can be quite dangerous if you give them a chance. Now, of course, fighting them from a distance would be really boring. So I'm gonna have to take that risk. I unfortunately missed the combo there. It fell down faster than I expected. And I got clipped by a tackle, but managed to get my revenge. And next up is a pair of Beam Samurai. All told, Beam Samurai aren't great because they have to charge their swords in order to be useful, and any borg that can attack faster than they can swing has a significant advantage. Although, if they do manage to connect with the charge slash, it can do a lot of damage. Again, I could fight them at a distance and they'd be helpless, but that'd be really boring. What makes G-Red so great is he can cancel a lot of his moves into either a G-Crash or a G-Buster. That gives you a lot more options than most Borks have. And that last one managed to take me out. The next up is Gold Hero. And while I want to keep my distance in civilian mode, as soon as Gold setup charges, we all know what this fight is going to be. And because Beam Samurai loses his charge every time it gets knocked down, this is all over but the blowing up. And next up, a pair of Megaton robots. Certainly a threat, to be sure, but as long as I keep their heads away from them, they're not that dangerous. And with Gold setup down, I pop Power Burst, so I can do this. He's lucky he went the hard knockdown there. But still, I definitely want to close in, because my attacks are faster, and as long as I keep knocking them down, they won't be able to get a shot off with that hammer. The Gold setup ends just as the next wave comes in, and it's the entire Cybergirl line. Even with Gold setup, and there's not much you can do when you've got 6 remote guns all pointed at you. My first instinct is to take out a target, any target, just to try and lower the amount of shots coming at me. But there are just way too much. And Megaton Robot really isn't going to fare much better in this situation. Though now we get to see what those other Megaton Robots felt like, as we're in the center of a laser storm. Even a concentrated effort to get my head back isn't enough. And while I do have my good melee, I managed to take out Cybergirl Super there. That quaternary laser is just too much. I did get one Megaton Hammer toss off, so I did better than them. Next up is Beam Gunner. Again, another powerful Borg who managed to finish the job on that Cybergirl Hyper. That was a mistake. I did not mean to click that button. But again, in this situation, there's just too many lasers coming at me. So again, a battle like this is a pretty good demonstration of why solo battle makes the game so much more difficult. If you're looking for a challenge, there it is. And while he managed to take out 2 Borgs, it's up to G-Red to finish the job. Another Cybergirl Hyper, and looks like 2 normal Cybergirls. Well, I get sick of getting knocked around like that, and pop Power Burst. I actually managed to go into hard knockdown. Though with Hyper down, there's no more remote guns at least. So at least I'll know where their shots will be coming from. And while I dash into a Cyber Claw there, as long as I don't completely drop the ball here, this match should be winning. Of course, that's not going to stop me from putting up a fight. And Neo managed to get his combo off, finishing off with a G-Crash.
Alright.
And we get some pretty good prizes all told. So yeah, that was a tough fight. I certainly make it worth my while at least. They even get another Cybergirl Hyper. Finally, I find the fight I was looking for. And before you ask, why didn't you just pick the tough one the first time? I could have sworn that the fight I was looking for was not a tough stuff. But hey, that's just me getting old.
We can do this. Let's rock.
I'm opening this fight with Ghost Knight. And while Elemental Knight's ability to throw its hitbox with his sword is neat, I actually much prefer Ghost Knight. The reason why is throwing your sword doesn't leave you as vulnerable, so you can actually follow it up with things. Say another sword toss, or throw on a fist. And throwing your fist doesn't leave you helpless either, because it's a detachable bomb, instead of just a rocket punch. That, and I also think its color scheme is just better looking. Yeah, I understand it's not very impressive wrecking a bunch of Deathborg Omegas. But still, that's just the appetizer. Another force with more drill robots. I seem to really like that in these final matches. that was entirely unintentional. Clipping it with the return sword and following up with a melee attack. I probably shouldn't have told you that, but oh well, I'm nothing if not honest. Now, this is kind of weird a fight in that, aside from the last few Borgs, the force before them is random. So we get Sword Knights and a Tornado Valkyrie. It doesn't make a lot of sense, building-wise. And I get popped up into the sky, which really only helps me, because now the Sword Knight can't get me, and the Drill Robot can't use its most powerful attacks. Though honestly, I'd rather not have that happen again. It's just disorientating, getting suddenly thrown 50 feet into the air. I unfortunately clipped Kakeru a few times. Thankfully, reduced ally damage doesn't make it too obvious. Another benefit of Ghost Knight is that it can more effectively take advantage of Power Burst. Because its projectile acts actually a projectile, you don't have to wait for it to come back. And that beam tank is gonna be the death of me if I'm not careful. Which, I'm not. Beam tank you really have to watch out for, as that drill is surprisingly fast, and it's incredibly powerful. And the beam takes out Ghost Knight. And next up is Ruby Knight. And while Sapphire Knight is unequivocally the superior Death Force bodyguard, I prefer using Ruby Knight, because explosions are way cooler than lasers. Also, that Hexabomb is a surprisingly good trap. Though in most cases, you're just kinda running right up to an enemy and throwing it in their face, or just dropping it randomly and hoping somebody blunders into it. Still, it has come surprisingly handy in situations where I wouldn't have thought it would. And also, again, I prefer red to blue. So we're just going to take out these last few Borgs, and we'll finally get to why I wanted this fight so much. And you see right there, her robot bounced right off that Hexabomb I dropped. And that Sword Knight got caught by an explosion there. It's already showing its use. And once again, I've just been throwing it out. A single winged dragon can't do much against us. So we come to a set of machine heads. Now this is where throwing Hexabomb is a bit more useful, because Airborgs are always moving. You can drop it around, and sometimes they'll fly right into it.
Good. Take this.
Unfortunately, machine heads aren't too tough. Otherwise, we'd be here a lot longer.
Nice. Good.
We'll take out the last of that wave.
Death formation. Mechanical dragon.
And there it is, the reason I wanted this fight so badly. This is the actual only time in the game you'll see a mechanical dragon. Though, of course, defeating it fused actually won't give you the mechanical dragon. It's weird like that. Though it is a good opportunity to just show you why I like Hexabomb so much. Against larger Borgs that can't maneuver easily, you can just get right up in their face and drop it on them. It explodes instantly, and it's pretty much a guaranteed hard knockdown. Obviously, that's not much help against fortresses, but if it can be sent flying, that's pretty much what'll happen every time. And with the machine head gone, I don't have to worry about the machine dragon fusing again. So once again, this fight is all over but blowing up.
We showed them. We're awesome.
And we'll take our prizes, and that'll be it for now. Thanks for watching.